everybody, it's Annette. Welcome back to my channel and another edition of 10-minute cards. Today we're going to make a card similar to this. I'm going to change the design up just a little bit. We're going to use the same background stamps, but I'm going to use a different style of panel, and we'll just show you how easy these cards are to make. So let's get started. So I'm going to be starting off with this snowy background stamp from GinaKDesigns, and you can see it's just a bunch of little dots randomly throughout the stamp, and they do give the appearance of snow falling, but it can also be like a bokeh effect or a background. So, you know, it doesn't have to look like snow, but I'm going to go ahead and ink it up with GinaKDesigns blue denim premium dye ink, and all the supplies I'm going to be using will be in the description below. So I'm just going to first just give this a good inking with the blue denim. Okay, and then we're just going to take a quarter sheet of cardstock and just drop it right down on top. And then I like to take a piece of paper towel and just lay it on top and press it in. Just give that a good press. And I'm going to apologize ahead of time in case you hear dogs barking or kids playing. I have the window of my craft room open because it's a beautiful fall day. And yes, people should be outside enjoying it today. All right, so we have that background, and let me pull it up here so you can see. So it just gives a really nice, just a really cool effect. And now we're going to do another layer of stamping on top. So I'm going to be bringing in 3 more colors of ink. And what's really nice is you can use any colors that you'd like. So we're going to go ahead and use the same stamp set from our sample. And this is from GinaKDesigns, Fall Silhouette. I'm kind of highlighting products from her today, per usual. So I'm just going to go ahead and take the backing off of this stamp set. I'm just going to leave the stamps on the sheet. We're going to stamp we're going to just use this as a stamp. And what we're going to do is we're going to start with, let's start with this color. It's Coral Reef. And I'm just going to start inking. I'm not sure exactly where I'll start laying down the cardstock, but I'm just going to start inking up a section. And I'm just going to kind of be aware of where I'm stopping, because the next color I'm going to lay down is the Butterscotch, and that's just going to go right next to the Coral Reef. And then finally we're going to use Medium Carnation. Okay, and we'll put that on the bottom coming up. Obviously we're not going to be using this entire stamp, but we're going to try to hit a little bit of each color. And I'm just going to, again, lay the cardstock right in the middle, get my paper towel again, and press down. Okay. Give that a good press. We want a really good impression. And that's what we have. It's kind of a rustic autumn vibe, and I am going to clean off my stamps with a damp chamois towel here in a little bit. So the next step is we're going to do some die cutting, and we're going to bring in let me get these stamps out of the way. I'm going to bring in the Big Shot, so let me bring that in and zoom out a little bit. We're done with these inks, and we want to die cut this panel, and for that I'm going to be using this stitched die, and this is a pretty sturdy die actually, and it's from GinaK's Master Layouts 18, which you can see part of it right here. But these are she has 20 or so, maybe a little bit more die sets, just different themes, and so they're kind of nice to have. They are an investment, but they will last a very long time. You don't need them to make these cards. You can hand cut. I did that for many years, and but you know, if you can save or put them on a Christmas list or a birthday list, a wish list, those are good gifts. So I'm just going to lay this die kind of in the center, and we're just going to run it through. And what you're left with is a frame that you can save and use it in a future project, and I probably will. Set that aside. And then you're left with two panels. You're going to be left with this frame, okay, and then the square that cut out in the middle. And they both have a nice stitched edging all the way around. So you can see that. We're going to use both of these on the card. All right. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is bring in my matte layer. We're just going to go ahead and get that right on. And this I already pre-cut, and this is from Master Layouts 2. And it's the, I don't have the Master Layouts 2 out, but it is the large stitched matte layer die. And I'm just going to, I'm going to put it over here so you can see it. I'm going to just glue that right on to that matte layer. And I'm going to try to get that centered as much as possible. So we'll go ahead and do that. And just kind of eyeballing it and getting it down there. And then we're left with this panel. And I am going to just go ahead and, on the sample, we did this little stamp right onto the card panel. And I think, I don't know if I'm going to do that again. I'm going to probably use a different one. Let's just see. Let's try, I'm going to try this one this time. And I'm just going to put this on an acrylic block and stamp it. So let me grab one of those. Okay, so I have an acrylic block, and I'm just going to lay that stamp right on there. And we'll bring in our black onyx, and we're just going to go ahead and ink that up and stamp it and hope for the best. I may get a little scrap piece of paper just to test it out. Since I only have one shot at this. Okay, that looks okay. I think it's gonna work. And before I do that, I kind of want to insert that. We're gonna pop that up just a little bit. And what's really nice and what makes cards easy to make is if you just are not feeling like making a card, and just die cut. That's what I do. Just die cut greetings and sentiments, and then you can, you know, you can just select one. You can even pop a dragonfly on there. That would be kind of cool. But that just kind of makes putting a card together very quick and easy. But I'm going to do a happy birthday card today. So I kind of want to decide where I want this leaf to venture out of. And I think I kind of want it, I'm going to go down this way. I kind of like that. So let's go ahead and get it real good and inked up. And I'm just going to leave that in there. Because I think I might even like it coming off a little bit. Just like that. And then I'm just going to keep it down there for just a second. Get it some good contact. Get it to transfer. All right, here goes. All right, not too bad. It's not perfectly solid, but that's okay. We may put some Wink of Stella on top and just make it a little shiny, and that'll correct a lot of errors or happy little accidents. So I think what I'm going to do is then go ahead and bring in some 3D foam squares. Now you don't need to use the foam squares to add dimension. You can build dimension up on the back of this with scrap cardstock. You can just you can cut this out a couple more times and just stack these up and glue them. You could definitely do that. And in fact, I may do that because I have some extra ones here. So here's the Master Layouts 18. So I've used this frame a few times and I always get these extra pieces. So I am going to grab a couple and we're just going to glue it onto the back. think there's 2 here, so I only want it layered up 3. So we'll just go ahead and glue these up. Just make sure the stitching is going the same direction. Okay. And then we will glue our panel onto this. Just square up all the corners. And then give that a good second to adhere. And I'm going to go ahead and bring in a card base. This is a US A2 side folding card base. And I'm just going to meet the corners. I probably make people cringe every time I do this without scoring it first, but I don't know. Every time I use my scoring board and then fold it over, the edges are not even. So I don't know. I like this way better for me. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and get my logo stamp and make sure I'm stamping the correct side of the card. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and glue our base, or our matte layer down to the base. Get that down. And then we'll go ahead and just center that. And then we'll just plop that down and we'll line up the sunflower. Just kind of sink it all in there. Very easy to line up. Okay. And then we're going to put our happy birthday over here. And when I die cut the happy birthday, I always take the die and do another, an extra layer, just a blank, and then I glue them together just to add dimension. And I kind of want this leaf coming out from underneath it, so we'll put that right about there. And I'm going to put the stone owl on that. And then we're going to bring some GinaK embellishments, some black, gold, and silver pearl mix. Whoops, they're flying out already. Just dump some out. I'm just going to put a couple or a few on here. And let's see, we're going to get this one that's already fallen. It says, pick me, pick me. And we'll put one there, and then I want another small one. Maybe like that. I think that's all we're going to do. All right. And then we'll just add a little bit of glue. My neighbor's dogs are barking. People behind me, their dogs are barking and I could hear it. And I'm at the front of the house. Anyway, and there we are. Oh, I think we're going to add a little bit of Wink of Stella on that too. I mentioned we could do that. So let me go ahead and zoom in. And this is the Wink of Stella pen, and it's just a, it's like a gel pen, and it has like a brush tip applicator. Sorry, I got ink all over my fingers. And then all you have to do is just go over your design, and it will add a little shine. I'll show you here in a minute. Let me just make sure I get all the little sections. Some right in there as well. Okay, let's see if you can see that. Oh yeah, let's see. You can see them shining and shimmering a little bit. So Wink of Stella is nice to have on hand. So there is a quick and easy 10-minute card just using a full stamp background. It's one of my favorite techniques to do. They're just a lot of fun. You can do them a solid color, but I like the ombre effect here. So, all right, well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, I hope you subscribe. I'd love to have you join me again. I do a video every Wednesday. We do live videos, and Sundays there's a scheduled video, and here and there in the mix I do a 10-minute card video, and I'd love to have you join again. And until next time, everyone, have a great day.